Pinpoint Weather on NBC5 News is brought to you by the Cow Creek Umpqua Tribe.
Hey, welcome back into Sunrise. Wasn't expecting a lot of rain yesterday, and a lot of the inland locations only picked up a few hundredths of an inch. Grants Pass just almost at a tenth of an inch. We did get some higher amounts towards the coastline. Crescent City over half of an inch. Of course, North Bend's rain gauge still down, unfortunately, for their amounts of precipitation. Now, for today, we're starting off with a little bit of some clouds out there. Breaks of the clouds, though, already starting to show, and more sunshine in store for us as we're getting through this afternoon. Looking on the Matter Cam to kick off the day. 54 right now. Again, no major change compared to yesterday morning. Overnight tonight, we are expecting to get a little bit chillier with the clear conditions expected. But today, we're going to be warming up. In fact, it could be closer to about 10 degrees warmer from yesterday. We'll be closer to those highs of yesterday by lunchtime this afternoon. 75 for that afternoon high. The seasonal high for this time of year is 79. So still slightly below, but a little bit closer to where we normally are for this time of year. Going to be beautiful into the evening hours as those temperatures cool off. Sun setting tonight at 8:47. Now, we're looking over the last 10 years to start off when we've gotten into our first 100-degree day, and you can kind of see June mixed in with a few Julys. In fact, 2023 and 2024. On the July 4th, both of those were our first 100 degrees days. But overall, June's pretty common for us to get into 100-degree temperatures. The earliest 100-degree temperature back in 1987, that was on May 5th, got up to 101 degrees. And again, it's not uncommon for us to be already getting into some 100-degree temperatures as we're getting in through June. Well, why am I talking about this? We just had a high of 66 yesterday, 75 here today. That's because the heat is on the way. Look at this climb in temperatures through the rest of this week. Upper 90s to triple digits expected into this weekend. You have to think, just last week we had our first 90-degree temperature, and now we're approaching 100 after a nice little break from those conditions from early last week. About 20 degrees above seasonal expected here for the valleys. And that's the ridge of high pressure that's building into our area. As it pushes a little bit further north late this week, we'll likely see a Checo effect happening for the coastline. Most of the coast will be in the 60s, but Brookings could be approaching those 80-degree temperatures later this week. So hotter conditions, especially in the valleys in the coming days and continuing into this weekend. Expected highs, though, for today still going to be pretty comfortable. It's going to be a beautiful afternoon to get outdoors. Some 60s out in our eastern counties, lower to mid 70s here for the valleys, and around 60 for much of the coastline. But again, it is going to be colder tonight. In fact, it could have freezing and frost level temperatures out into our eastern counties. So again, if you have outdoor plans, make sure you cover them up, and don't forget those pets as well. We got 40s here for the valleys, even the coastline around 50 degrees. And today will be a little bit breezy, nothing overly strong, but we do see that northwest breeze up to about 10 to 18 miles per hour. Could still see some gusts getting up to about 20 to 25. Nothing overly strong, but a noticeable breeze for the afternoon hours. And that's likely to continue for some as we're getting through the next couple of days. Even here in the valley, a slight afternoon breeze is not going to be uncommon throughout the rest of this week. But again, the climb in those temperatures in the coming days with lots of sunshine and dry conditions. Morning lows will start off in the 40s, but we're going to be quickly getting into the 60s for the morning lows. That's about where we were for yesterday's high temperature to kick off next week. Klamath Basin will warm out of the 30s in the morning hours, getting into the lower 50s for the start of this weekend. Highs will be into the upper 80s and lower 90s. Not as hot as the valleys, but still about 15 degrees above seasonal for them. Northern California also will be approaching the triple digits by Sunday. Until then, just that steady climb with breezy winds and plenty of sunshine. Coastline still can't roll out some spotty showers today. It's not the best potential, but it can't be ruled out that maybe you get a few sprinkles on your windshield, and that might even continue into Wednesday morning. But that trend of drying conditions will happen pretty quickly, and we're 60s expected for most of the coast. Again, Brookings could be around those 70s to 80s in the coming days.